Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, my name is Heather Spears and I love Halloween. So, in today's video, I am sharing something with you that I am super proud of. It's something that I did last year and I'm finally bringing it out to you guys. So yeah, I'm excited about that. But what I did was I made 5 costumes to attend Disney's California Adventure Oogie Boogie Bash. So that is a special Halloween event, and the costumes I made were Haunted Mansion ghost costumes. So I did a group costume, like I said, which consists of my brother-in-law Jim as the Hatbox Ghost, my sister Sarah as Constance the Bride, my mom as the Haunted Mansion's opera singer, my friend Steven as Ezra the Hitchhiker, and myself as Madame Liotta. So before I get into talking about all of these costumes, I am going to show you guys the costumes and what they were like at the event. So let's get started. First off, we have my brother-in-law Jim as the Hatbox Ghost. Now, this character is the most zany of the bunch, and if you know my brother-in-law Jim at all, you know it's a perfect fit. So, my favorite part of this costume, and it's gonna sound so funny, but my favorite part of this costume is actually the hatbox that he carries, and it has nothing to do with the way that I made it as much as what it is there for. So I made him this hat box because obviously the character in the attraction does hold, you know, a hat box that his head kind of disappears from and goes into the box. But what Jim used his hat box for was actually the trick-or-treat lines at the event. If you've been to one of the Disney Halloween events, they set up trick-or-treat lines. It is so fun, and they give you candy. So he used this as his trick-or-treat bucket, which it fit the character and it fit the costume. So that was my favorite part. Other things to note about Jim's Hatbox Ghost costume is he was the worst behaved in the makeup chair out of the whole group, but that did not stop him from having like a performance that just absolutely blew me away. I did not expect him to be able to get out there and, you know, hold his neck and do all those fun things. I didn't direct him to do that. That was all him. So I was super proud of that, and he wore the costume so well. I couldn't have picked a better Hatbox Ghost. And next up we have my friend Steven as Ezra the Hitchhiker. Now, it's probably the most classic and my favorite scene of the whole attraction when your little buggy goes by and you see these three hitchhiking ghosts try to pitch a ride on you to go home with you. It's just so creepy and it's so fun at the same time. So Ezra is one of the hitchhikers. And I knew, because it's my very favorite part of the ride, that I wanted to bring one of the hitchhikers to life. Now, I've seen some incredible hitchhiking ghost costumes and they just blow me away. But the most important aspect of the one that I was making here is I wanted it to match my crew. So I wanted it to be kind of cartoony and kind of fun to fit along with the crew, but I also wanted to use those same dyes and the same paints and the same makeup palette to just kind of bring that hitchhiker in with what we were all looking like, just to make it match and all of that good stuff. I didn't want it to look like the hitchhiker pitched a ride with the wrong crew, so that's how that all happened. And he did such a great job of bringing this version of Ezra the hitchhiker to life. I couldn't be happier. I think it was just so fun to have one of those hitchhiking ghosts in with this crew, because this was the costume out of all of them that I think said Haunted Mansion the most. Next, we have my mom as the opera singer. Now, this is actually my very favorite costume of the whole group, and I can tell you why. I think the opera singer is such a cool character, but I think she's rarely portrayed. She's rarely recreated like this. So I think her character is so fabulous and so stand out, and I'd love to see her done more. But my mom did a great job of bringing her to life. So the reason why I liked making my mom's costume so much is something a little different. So I had to fabricate her hat out of different materials than anything else that I was using. So I was using kind of just craft foam to make her hat, you know, the way that it is, and trying to like problem solve getting her little wings to stick up and all of that. And that was really a breath of fresh air, because I was making a lot of pieces for this group costume, and most of them were done in a similar manner, different in design, similarly like put together. So this was taking a step away from the dyes and the paints that I was using for everybody else, taking a step away from the sewing machine and really just getting down and gluing and fabricating. So I actually put this hat that I made on the wig that I styled, and it just brought that costume together. Because all in all, my mom's costume was by far the easiest. It is a simple dress, it is floor length, it is just pretty straightforward in design on the costume itself. But that hat really just bring it out, and it was my favorite piece of the entire group to make. Now, my mom, she is just the sweetest, and I love her so much. And she is not usually the type to take the stage quite like the opera singer does, but she got out there and she did it. And I think out of everybody, she got the most compliments from the whole night, because it was just, she did a fabulous job. She was the one that I like to look at. She made me smile as she walked around. And I think that those feel-good moments of knowing like, hey, that's my mom and stuff, I think that's what made her costume special too. Now we have my sister Sarah as Constance the Bride, and she is my go-to gal for anything that has a costume that needs a little attitude. Sarah knows how to bring it. So when we had the idea, we were together when we got the idea of what costumes we were going to do, and Haunted Mansion came up, and Sarah was immediate on her choice of doing the Ghost Bride. She wanted to do Constance immediately, and we all chose our costumes around her, and that's just kind of how it worked. But the biggest part of the Constance costume is dyeing and layering. So you can't see from the pictures, but this costume is entirely off-white. I had to take the pieces apart and separately dye them different shades of blue and different shades of green in order to create the palette of the whole group. And her costume is really what I used to create that palette, because being a bride, you want to see the white, you want to see that, but at the same time, it's a ghost bride, so you got to get those ghostly colors in there. So Sarah's is what set the tone for the entire group, and was probably the costume that took the longest, because there's a lot of layers to this one. There's a lot of layers, and it's a lot more complicated than it looks. Out of the Constance costume, my favorite part to make was the veil. Now each costume in the group has kind of a little bit of a thing that makes them unique. And like I said, for the opera singer was the hat. For Constance the bride, it is the veil. So her veil is actually made of a fabric that I didn't use on anybody else's costumes. And there was an element in the group to where each of our costumes at least used the same fabric once. So with Constance's veil, this was a fabric that was completely different from anybody else's. I needed that structure, and the big part about it was the fabric for the veil does not dye the same as all of the other fabric in this entire group set. So I couldn't dye it, so I had to mix some colors out of acrylic paint to really kind of soak it and make it work this way. But it ended up looking like it matched the rest of the outfits just fine. But that was the big part that was the biggest problem, the biggest issue piece of the whole group concept here was the fact that that fabric didn't dye the same, so I needed to create a way to make it look like it fit in without actually using the same, materials. So another thing is the fabric doesn't hold its color well at all. I feel like if I wanted to, I could probably soak the veil in water right now and bring it back to the off-white color that it was when I started, or at least somewhat. I think a lot of that color would wash out. So luckily for us, it was not raining, it was a nice day, or else I would have had some veil trouble, I am sure of it. And finally, we have me as Madame Liotta. Now, with Madame Liotta, her role in the attraction is she summons spirits, and I thought that with my role in this project of making all these ghosts come to life, she was really the character that fit me the best. She was the perfect fit, so I wanted to give it a shot. So the biggest thing with this costume was design aesthetic. And if you know Madame Liotta, you know she's pretty much a head in a crystal ball, and she has this whole room to herself, and it's very inspiring, everything that you see in this room. Now, I've seen some pretty good Madame Liotta costumes where people are using, a cardboard around their head to create the whole scene. And I've seen this, but there was just a part of me that could not kick the idea of what was Madame Liotta before she was just a head in a crystal ball. So that's kind of where my ideas went. Now, it was also kind of going to be an issue to get around the actual event and the actual, California Adventure Park if I were to create a tabletop for my head. So I went with that idea. I went with what could Madame Liotta have looked like before, whatever put her head in a crystal ball. That just sounds weird coming out of my mouth. So what I did was I created a costume based off of ideas and thoughts and things that I was having, and just kind of designed the costume from the ground up from there. And what I did is I used dark colored paints and fabrics and things to show kind of like a symbolism of like maybe perhaps other pieces are missing. Definitely not keeping it gory or anything like that. Just kind of cartoonish nods to like other things that may have happened, because I don't really know, the origin story of Madame Liotta, but I would like to. That's kind of where my head was, is just kind of portraying this character that we don't know much about past her head. So that's kind of like, I just wanted to be able to portray a character that, walking by, people would be able to put a finger and think, I think that's what she's going for with that one. Because honestly, this particular costume walking around on its own, I don't think it really says Madame Liotta. But I think seeing it all together and knowing, I think it really gets the point across of where I was trying to go with it. Or at least I hope it does. And the biggest learning curve for me for this entire project is the makeup. There are some people out there that really just know how to bring it home with makeup. That's not me. I have to try really, really hard to get these looks to do with what they did. So this was the biggest makeup project I had ever taken on, and it was so stressful because, I spend months working on these costumes, making them perfect, correcting myself if it's not quite right. And when it comes to makeup, you have like an hour to get it right or you're done, So that's what it was for this. And I had never, I have done my sister's makeup before, I've done my own makeup, maybe my mom's a few times, but never 5 people all for one event and kind of balancing it and time management. So the respect I have for you professional makeup artists out there is just through the roof, especially after trying this myself, because it's pressure. There's a lot of pressure there, and I am surprised that I didn't do something to just like mess it all up, because that's what it feels like. It feels like all in a matter of a second. You know, you can put a line somewhere and that line's not coming off, or you'd have to wipe the whole thing off, and that's a lot for me. That's a lot for me to process. So that was by far the most stressful, hardest part of this whole thing. So I know there's a lot to this project, and I know I've talked a lot already, so I am going to let you guys go for today. But if you have any further questions, always feel free to leave them in the comment box below, and I'll do my best to get back to everybody. But thank you guys so much for sitting here and talking about these costumes with me. It means the world to me. This is my passion. This is where I'm at. And the fact that you chose to spend your time with me here today, I really appreciate that. So if you enjoyed the video, please remember to give me a thumbs up so that I know. And if you'd like to come back to talk costumes or fashion or anything at all, just please hit that subscribe button, and you are always welcome to join me. Until next time, guys, bye!